Howdy, roofers, and welcome to Roofer Growth Hacks, the podcast that's dedicated to highlighting those in the roofing industry, learning how they overcame growth challenges and creative growth hacks, and then connecting them with others in the roofing industry. I'm your host, Chris Hunter, founder and chief marketing officer of roofingsites.com. I'm also the author of The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. Got a little story for you, roofers. Rob Dube is the visionary of 10 Disciplines and is the co-author of the book Shine. Rob built, sold, and bought back his business thanks to Gino Wickman, who, by the way, is the inventor of Entrepreneurial Operating System. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably have heard me talk about that before. But he bought back his business thanks to Gino Wickman's coaching. In this episode, Rob shares with us the importance of the 10 disciplines that he and Gino have developed for roofers that will help you build and scale your business. So listen up as Rob shares some actionable advice on exactly how to do that. Well, Rob, thank you so much for joining us today on Roofer Growth Hacks. I'm a super fan of Gino Wickman, and just the fact that you actually know Gino is super, super cool.
Great.
And so if you will, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit to our audience, tell them a little bit about yourself and your entrepreneurial journey.
Sure. Well, Chris, first of all, let me just thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm so grateful to you, and what a great guy you are. I haven't gotten to chat with you for too much, but I can feel your energy through our Zoom here and just learning about you. So very, very grateful. And thanks for the opportunity. What a great group that you speak to. I mean, they're the, lifeblood of the world, people doing roofing and, just all those kinds of jobs. The tradespeople of our world, they are the greatest. So I'm just grateful to be able to chat with you. So a little bit about my background. I've been an entrepreneur since ninth grade. My best buddy, Joel, and myself started selling blow pop lollipops out of our locker.
Nice.
We would buy them for a nickel and resell them for a quarter. Great business. We had all kinds of businesses in high school and even in college. And when we graduated college in 1991, we set out on our entrepreneurial journey. We started selling remanufactured toner cartridges for laser printers out of our basement.
Whoa.
And the company, kind of grew from there, if you can believe it. Somehow we we're able to stay around. We had great service. We put great emphasis on the client experience. We became a managed print services provider, which is one way of saying we were a copier dealer. And in about 8 years into it, we just realized we were out of control. We didn't know what the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. We had a small team and just didn't have the right process in place to run the business. And you and I were speaking before, and you mentioned what a fan you are of Gino's. Well, we were one of Gino Wickman's first clients.
Wow.
Before it was even called EOS, he was just starting off on this journey that he's been on. And he had created this process, and we got introduced to him. And he came in and he helped whip us into shape. We implemented what's now called the EOS process into the business and did that quite successfully. We really took to it and we ran the business, 100% EOS. That was back in 99, if you can believe it.
Okay. Wow.
Two things I'll tell you about that journey. The first one is we dialed it in to such a degree that in 2004, based on our growth and how we were operating the business, a public company in our industry approached us and they wanted to acquire the company. We sold to them. And they told us at the time that in all the companies that they had looked at, we were able to get a higher multiple because we were operating such a tight ship, so to speak, that had everything to do with EOS. Funny story, we were able to buy the company back for next to nothing 18 months later, but that we can talk about that or not talk about that. That's up to you. The other thing that happened was Gino and I became very close friends, and we would get together and throughout the next, 20 plus years on a regular basis, we just talk about life for like half a day at a Starbucks and things like that. And I started to notice he was living his life in a particular way. And I was very curious about it. And so I learned these different things that he was doing, which he later wrote about and called the 10 disciplines. And so when he wrote those 10 disciplines out and put them in his genius way that he does things in an organized fashion and created a system, I said, I've been gleaning these from you for the last 20 years. We've got to take these to the world. They've been so powerful for me and how I was running my other company. And so we partnered up and created the 10 Disciplines Company.
Wow, that is so cool. That is so awesome. For the people who haven't read your book yet, right? We're talking about the 10 disciplines inside of you and Gino's book, right?
Right.
Shine.
For
those that haven't had the chance yet to read this, what are those 10 disciplines?
So I'll do it very fast and then I'll read them quickly to you.
Okay.
And then you go, I'll just vibe off of wherever you want to go with it.
Okay.
But the first thing is 10-year thinking. And this is where we just want you to shift your mind from short-term thinking to thinking in 10-year timeframes. The next one is take time off. Take at least 130 days off and don't think about work the entire time. The next one is know thyself. And that's be you 100% of the time, 24/7, 365. The next is be still, sit in silence for 30 minutes every day. The next one's know your 100%. And that's decide on and commit to the perfect number of hours per week and weeks per year that you're going to deliver your value to the world. The next one is say no often. And that's saying no to everything that doesn't fit in those first 5 disciplines. The next one is don't do $25 an hour work. Never do anything that you could pay somebody $25 an hour to do. The next one, prepare every night. Simply before your head hits the pillow every night, document the next day's plan. The 9th one, discipline number 9, is put everything in one place. Pick the one place that you'll capture every idea, commitment, thought, action item, and promise. And finally, discipline number 10 is be humble. Simply view yourself as an equal to every person on the planet.
I love that. Absolutely love that. One of the ones that really resonate mostly with me, right? Because this is constantly preached by my own business coach is the time off piece, right? Because us as entrepreneurs, I mean, we got in business, right? To
for freedom,
run our lives for freedom, right? For money freedom and time freedom. Yeah. But what we find, a lot of us, is that our business is running us, right? So how can you actually do this, right? And specifically on that one, freedom, how do you set time aside for yourself?
Looking at this from a simplistic standpoint, if you took every weekend off, every US holiday, and 3 weeks vacation, which I hope you can take 3 weeks vacation, you're darn near 130 days off. Problem is, most entrepreneurs don't take the weekend off. They usually work half a day on one of them or a full day. They might take one off, and they're working during their vacations. Oftentimes, they're working during the holidays. Oh, yeah. So they aren't doing the don't think about work the entire time part.
Right.
That seems to be the hardest. But what we want you to do is turn it off. You have to let your mind and your body recharge. You know, your central nervous system is amped up all the time, and you're just not giving it a break. And you have to give your mind a break too. If you're interested in growing your business, this is important. It's also important to be a great person in the world, but we could talk about that later. You know, you're running a roofing business and you want to grow that business. You want to be successful. And there's a ton of stuff that goes along with roofing businesses or any other business for that matter. There's challenges and issues. I imagine in the roofing business, there's a lot of people that aren't reliable sometimes. They don't show up. It's frustrating. You know, you have to hop into areas where you don't want to, things of that nature. But what we want you to do is start to give your mind, as I mentioned, some time to actually start to think about what are the solutions that I can put into place so these things don't happen. I know some of the work that you do is you help people market their businesses very well. That's part of what you want to give your mind space to do. So by taking time off, you're clearing your mind. And when you come back, you're refreshed so you can really take the things that you teach as an example, you know, to heart and really implement them well so you can continue to grow your business.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm 100% with you on that one, you know. And so, all right, actually unplugging, right? Let's talk about that, right? And dig in a little bit further on that, because most roofers that I know, okay, are, like you said, they're plugged into their business all the time, and they're constantly going out to jobs, right? They're constantly going out and making sure that all the work is getting done, and a lot of times working weekends and vacations, just like what you just said. how do they actually truly unplug?
Yeah. Well, first of all, they're driven. Okay. And that's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you create things in this world. You make stuff happen. Most of the world is not driven. So if you're a driven person, you might a driven entrepreneur is in the context of what we're talking about, you might feel a little out of place sometimes. Your team or your employees, they might think like, do you ever stop? Your family's probably thinking that too. Like, wow, you just go. It's just because you're wired a certain way. And so that's a blessing because you have a superpower. You're resilient. Nothing stops you. You're going to succeed at all costs. So that's a blessing. The curse is you wear people out with your intensity. You wear yourself out with your intensity. I mean, if you sleep 8 hours, which if you're a driven entrepreneur, you're probably not, but we'll talk about that another time, but you need to get proper sleep. We all know that. Let's just say you're awake for 16 hours. You've got to give yourself some time to rest and slow down. You can't be going. We're not made for this. Okay. And what you see, across the board is that when people slow themselves down, they actually speed up their businesses. You can't be everywhere all the time. So you start to create processes within your business so you can grow your business. And it isn't about you being at every job and every place all the time. It's about you doing the things that make the biggest impact for your business, which creates a better employee experience, more loyal customers, and a business that gives you a lifestyle that you wanted when you started the darn thing. You'll make more money. You'll have more time to be fully present with your family. That's really what you wanted, but you're contracting yourself because you're not doing all the right things, which many of these disciplines are what that's teaching you to do these right things. It's putting in a foundation in your life so you can create the life that you were actually looking for when you started it.
Interesting. And that is so 100% true because I mean, we constantly, right? We as entrepreneurs, right? Let's just lump us all together because we are all pretty much the same, right? And we let our businesses run us all the time, right? And so how do you not fall into the trap of constantly going back? It's like the Godfather, they're pulling me back in, right? How do you keep that from happening?
Well, you create this foundation in your life. It's important. And so we have ours, it's the 10 disciplines. And when you put those all together, you have a strong foundation. Now, if you're doing roofing, you're very familiar with strong foundations, maybe for homes or buildings. If the foundation isn't strong, there's cracks in the home. The things aren't, the home isn't going to be strong. The building's not going to be strong. This is super important in your life. So you have to ask yourself, I could start with 10-year thinking. What are you doing this for? As you say, is the business running you? Did you create a job for yourself? Is that what you wanted? So you're waking up in the middle of the night or you're not fully present at dinner with your family because you're thinking your mind's going 1,000 miles an hour. And believe me, I'm a card-carrying member. I have been there. And I have lived these disciplines with my company, which I still own, but I don't run anymore. So I'm the person that you can look to show how you can create a business that is really self-sufficient and creates income and is a great asset in, an actual financial asset in your life. So you have to start looking at it beyond, you. And so you can create that. You aren't good at all things. You're only good at like 2 or 3 things. Figure out what those are and focus on them, and then be very disciplined, for example, about how many hours you're willing to work. Now, you might have grown up in a family where, working hard was just ingrained in you from an early age, but we're about working smart. See, you started a business, so you're thinking in a different way than most people do. Entrepreneurs are a small minority of the overall population. So you didn't do this, as you and I have mentioned before, to create a job for yourself. You did this for freedom and for maximizing income. And you're making a great impact by providing really good jobs, really good paying jobs for people. Yeah. So focus on that. What do you need to do to grow the business? Focus on that. What do you need to do to create a culture that's better than any other roofing company around? because that's going to be your differentiator, I'm sure. You know, a team that loves what they do and they show up at the job site, and the homeowners or the building owners are saying, wow, this company isn't like most roofing companies. There's something special about them. I imagine that's what you want. I know that's what I wanted when we had copier technicians going out to businesses, and that's very, you know, blue collar, you know, and how could we show up and give the customer an experience that was like none other? I had to have time to spend on that, to train the people, to ingrain those values into them. And that takes a different way of living your life. It takes building a strong foundation. So you have the actual time in your life and the space in your mind to be able to come up with those ideas and then implement them.
Absolutely love that. And again, I agree. You know, all right, you said here that, you know, figure out the 2 to 3 things that you're really good at. Okay. Because that's all we are good at. We're not good at everything, right? So how do we find out those 2 to 3 things? And is that just like looking inward? Is there a specific tool that we can use to find out what we're really good at?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of tools that you can find. There's unique ability tools that the strategic coach has. You could go on the strategic coach's website. That's a great program to look into at a certain point in your career. You know, there's superpower, you know, there's all kinds of different words for this. But one of the things that we teach is knowing your 100%. This is where I mentioned this is the perfect number of hours per week and weeks per year that you'll deliver your greatest value to the world. So what we encourage and what we teach is that as you're going through your week, do this for like 2 or 3 weeks. Start taking notes on what you did throughout your day. And if you can do it real time, that's awesome. And if you follow a calendar, that's great too. So you can say, you know, Monday, I started at a job site. I was there for 2 hours. Somebody didn't show up. So I ended up hopping in and helping out. And I was there a little bit longer than I needed to. And then put a dash, gave me energy, drained my energy, neutral. Okay. And do that throughout each one of your days. What did you do? Did it give you energy? Did it drain your energy? Or were you neutral? After you do this for 2 or 3 weeks, go back and look at everything that gave you energy. That's when it doesn't feel like work. And that's what you need to be spending more time at. That's how, those are the things that those are your superpowers. Those are the things that you're great at, you love doing. Now, some things you're really great at, but you don't love doing them. So that's an energy drain or maybe a neutral. So be careful about that, because when you're good at something, people are going to come to you and they're going to say, you're really good at this. And you know you're good at it. So you go ahead and do it, but somehow it still drains your energy. You don't want to be doing those things. And I want you to take a close look when you make this list at what are the things that are going to help me grow my business and get it to the place that aligns with my 10-year thinking vision, which is the other thing that you and I spoke about and what we teach in our programs. Because once you're clear about your 10-year thinking vision, everything you do, you start to look at through a different lens. You start to say, why am I doing this? This does not align with where I want to be in 10 years. So while 10-year thinking is a vision, it actually comes to the present moment because you're constantly asking yourself, should I be doing this right now? Because this is not moving me toward my 10-year thinking. It's not working. Or you say, this is exactly what I should be. And it gives you confidence and it opens up and attracts opportunities for you.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. So just simply making a list, right? And figuring out.
So simple.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, we all make lists anyways, right? We have our to-do lists that are a mile long, right?
That's right.
I had a coach. My coach tells me your stop doing list should be bigger than your to-do list.
Good coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I literally in Microsoft To Do, I have a stop doing list, you know, on my $1,000 machine that's sitting in my pocket here, right? And I constantly am adding things to that list of things that drain me, things that I really just don't want to do, or things that I start asking myself, hey, should I be doing this? I think that's the biggest question of all right there. Yeah. Should I be doing this?
Yeah. So, yeah. And it goes into 2 other things. First, when we talk about know your 100% and we're doing that list, the next thing I'm encouraging you to do is as you do that same exercise, Notice at what point in the day you start to lose energy and start making note of that. Okay. And as you start noticing this, you're going to notice a few other things. How many hours are you working every single day? Okay. And then you're going to notice where there's the law of diminishing returns, where at this point, you're no good. Like you're working, but you're not productive. You're just done. You're wasted, Yeah. And so as you do this for a few weeks, you start to notice that perfect number of hours per week. Some of you, if you're like most normal driven entrepreneurs, you're probably hitting, 70, 60 to 80 hours a week. That's like normal for you. I hate to tell you, newsflash, that's not normal. Okay. Yeah. That's a lot of hours to be working. Okay.
Absolutely.
My hope for you is you find that perfect amount that doesn't burn you out. Because once you're burnt out, it's too late. And you know it when you're burnt out. You got nothing more to give. And that takes a while to recover from. So once you find your perfect number, now you get very disciplined with that in your life. So let's just say it's 50. Okay. So now you go from 70 to 50. That's 20 hours. You got to remove 20 hours worth of stuff. That's 4 hours per business day. Okay. Monday through Friday. You're probably working on the weekend. Let's just use Monday through Friday. You got to eliminate it for so many reasons. As I mentioned before, time in your life, space in your mind. How about spending more time with the people that you love and being fully present and not exhausted with them? How will that show up for them? What kind of life will you then be living when you're able to do that? When all this other stuff isn't on your mind, it takes time to settle down when you come back from your work day. So here's your opportunity to reduce the amount of hours, which is key. And that means you have to delegate. And from EOS, delegate and elevate, delegate and elevate. So that's common. What we're saying is now, don't do $25 an hour work. Now, there's nothing wrong with $25 an hour work. That's important work. And there are people out there that want that work and they're great at that work. Okay. But you didn't become an entrepreneur to do that kind of work. So here's another exercise for you. Okay. Take your annual compensation and then take the number of hours you're working per week and multiply that by 52 weeks. Now, divide that by your annual compensation so you can see your hourly rate. So let's just say you're making $150,000 and you're working 80 hours a week. I don't know the math on that, but your hourly rate is not going to be good. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you start looking at not just $25 an hour work, but anything below your pay grade. Okay. And you start delegating it to people that are going to do a much better job than you are going to do. And I know you want to control. Part of why you got into business is because you like to control things.
Yeah,
but you very quickly find out when you're an entrepreneur, you're not in control of anything, nothing. So start letting go. Let go and let the people that are better than you do that work. And it's going to take a little bit of time. It always does. You're going to have a blip. You hired the wrong person. You're going to replace them because you're resilient. Stick with it. 6 months, a year, you're going to have a couple really outstanding people. You've already done it in your businesses, by the way, I'm sure to a certain extent. And you see, like, if you don't like accounting, you have somebody doing accounting all of a sudden. You're like, if you're anything like me, I was doing accounting in the early days and I hated it. And then when I was able to delegate that, it was like, wow, I had time. I had space in my mind. I had new ideas. It felt like I felt lighter. Keep doing that in every aspect of your business. Look at your pay grade and start delegating and elevating everything. And that means you're going to have to make an investment in yourself, but it's worth it if you're clear about your 10-year thinking vision. Now, if your 10-year thinking vision is you don't want to grow your business, you never want to make more than 100 or 150,000, whatever your number is, and you want to have a team of 10, there's nothing wrong with that. You're clear, and then you can live this life. And that's a great life. And I'm not saying don't do that. But if you want to expand your business, these are the decisions that you need to make.
All right, let's talk about that 10-year vision then, right? Because that seems that is the key, right? To all of this is that you've got to think long term. So if you're, I don't know, like me, in your early 50s, right? You're thinking, okay, I'm getting closer to retirement here. What is retirement life going to look like? And And what am I going to do with my business? Right. Most importantly, because there's so many boomers, right? Not putting this into a grouping here, but there are so many folks that are looking at that. And I've had friends that have retired and they just shuttered their business. They weren't able to sell it because it completely depended on them. Right. So how do you sit down and truly map out that 10-year vision and that goal really towards that?
Yeah. Well, the simple thing to do is you close your eyes, you think about what the year is 10 years from now. So, and the date. So you and I are recording here on March 18th, 2024. If you were doing this exercise today, you would close your eyes and think about life on March 18th, 2034, and what your life looked like. I'm 54 years old. So what does my life look like? I'm 64 years old. And you start thinking about all the aspects of what you envision your happy and easeful life to be like. And then you open your eyes and you write down a list of bullet points. And you might turn that into 1 or 2 sentences. Or if you're like me, you'll turn it into a vivid vision of the future. Okay. And if you're like me, you'll do it with your spouse. I'm married and we're living our life together. So if I write out what my life looks like in 10 years, it doesn't align with what she wants, that could be a problem. So I always encourage bring in the key people in your life. Now, in my case, I've been doing this now. I'm on my 3rd iteration of that with my wife. The 2nd iteration, which was back in 2016, I realized for my company, imageOne, that I wanted to not be running the company anymore. And I didn't want to sell it though. And so, I envisioned a life where somebody was running it and they were able to take the company to the next level, which was also part of my 10-year thinking vision. And at the company, we had a 10-year vision. And so that required me to start opening up space in time in my life to start paying attention to who's going to run this darn thing by 2026, And when you do things like that, funny things start to happen. People start presenting themselves to you and you start thinking, I wonder if that person would be good. And you start having a conversation. In my case, that did happen. And the person came into our company and one thing led to another. We created a succession plan and that person's running the company and he's so much brighter and so much, better of a leader than I ever was. And he truly is the person to take it to the next level. Yet I held on to all my equity and the company's an asset. So should we ever want to sell it, which our goal is to sell it to the employees. Mm-hmm. So that's part of our next 10-year thinking vision, or part of my next 10-year thinking. And he knows what that is. So his whole goal is to have the company grow to a degree that we can sell it to the employees, which gives me an exit and gives the employees ownership in something that they basically are building. That just happens to be my story.
Yeah.
You pick do you want your story to be? You want one of your kids to run the company? Start to create that. Is there a key person who's been on your team for 15 years who's awesome that you would love to sell that to one day? Create that part of it. Include that person into it so they can start thinking, what's their 10-year thinking vision? Yeah. There's so many ways. Maybe you want to sell it to a private equity company because they're rolling up roofing companies. I'm sure they're already doing that. And you just want a nest egg so you could go, and golf or do whatever it is you like to do, hunt, whatever, So there's nothing wrong with that either. You just have to think about it and create it. And then you'll move towards it with your in the present moment actions. And that's the thing that I always bring back, is because when you are very clear about what you want for your future, this isn't goal setting. This is about aligning your actions today with where you see your life in 10 years. Truth is, you and I both know 10 years for us isn't guaranteed.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Let's face it, right? So it's all about aligning yourself with where you want to be.
Love that. And how often would you look at that 10-year vision? And I mean, is that like an every morning, every evening exercise? Is that, is that something that you're constantly doing and sharing with your employees too?
Yes. Well, at the least, you are reading it once a week, but I love your idea because I think once a day is way better because you're just ingraining it in your mind. But once a week is usually what most people do. It takes literally 5 or 10 minutes. At my company, imageOne, we have everybody create a 10-year thinking vision, and it's all posted on our shared drive. So all leaders are responsible for being clear about where their team's 10-year thinking vision is. And so they can help them move towards that. And so everybody's got their 10-year thinking vision out there. That's powerful because if I shared mine with yours, I'll tell you right now, you would think to yourself, I might be able to help you with that one part of it, and if you shared yours with mine, I would do the same because we're just wired that way. Yeah. We are helpers. We want to help people get where they want to go. We're just wired that way, and it's beautiful. So the more that you can share that with people, the better. And
so I'm about to geek out here on EOS, right?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurial Operating System. So is that part of your vision traction organizer, or is that just something that you have and that you're sharing out?
Yeah. So first, let me just say, I have nothing to do with EOS other than I've been a client since 1999. Right. And I'm good friends with Gino and business partners with him in the 10 disciplines and co-author on the book Shine. But I know a lot about EOS because we've been running on it, for all those years. So in our case, the VTO is the business's document, right? Yeah. So that's where the business stuff lives. For us, the personal stuff, which incorporates your work life and your non-work life, quite frankly, is a separate document. So, so shorter answer is they're separate documents. But as the entrepreneur, I do think it's important to see what your 10-year plan is and make sure that it aligns with your 10-year thinking, your own personal. I mean, I don't know how it can't.
It's hard to separate a business from the business owner, right? I mean, like literally, right. You're almost one and the same.
That's right. That's right. Well, and let me just riff on that for a second. Mm-hmm. I hope that you begin to separate yourself from that. Mm-hmm. Too many of us, our identities wrapped up in our company. Yeah. Okay, so you're the guy that owns that's the guy that owns ABC Roofing, and you feel very proud about that. But then your identity's wrapped up on it, and what that does is it starts having you make decisions wrapped around your identity. And I want you to make decisions wrapped around the totality of your life, not because somebody sees you at the restaurant and knows you as that person. I want them to know you as, and that's one of our disciplines, discipline number 3, know thyself. And this is where we have you go a little bit more inside, get to know yourself beyond your company, because you have so much to offer into this world. As a driven person, and this is why you could tell the excitement. I mean, this is why Gino and I get so excited about Shine and taking this to the world in these disciplines, because the driven entrepreneur is all about making impact. And it's like the honeybee. I love to use this example. The honeybee, the way that what the honeybee's identity is wrapped up in is making the honey. Okay, so they get back to the nest and they're making the honey. But what the honeybee doesn't realize they're doing is they're sprinkling the pollen all over the place to and from the nest, making impact, actually creating life. That's what driven entrepreneurs do. They create, but they don't realize it. And what I want the driven entrepreneurs to start doing is opening up their minds and paying attention to the types of the way they're sprinkling the pollen all over the place. They're sprinkling. They are not ABC Roofing Company. What they are is so much more. And imagine a life and how fulfilling that can be when you are not just making a great impact at your company, but you're doing it all over the place in big and little ways. I mean, the communities that the ABC Roofing Company serves, they're of great benefit. The driven entrepreneur, I should say, is of great benefit to that driven entrepreneur. So I want you to maximize that. That's what we talk about. Maximize your energy, maximize your impact, and do it with peace, with inner peace. That's what's missing. Your mind is going crazy if you're a driven entrepreneur. It never stops.
Never stops.
We want to slow it down so you can make greater impact and have more energy to go out and do that.
Love it. Love that. That's awesome. Okay. So we're going to take pause here real quick
Sure.
to in between our lightning round. And we're going to pause here for a message from our sponsor, roofingsites.com. Since 2018, roofingsites.com has helped roofers double their sales by getting their marketing right using the 4R roofing marketing system. If you're a roofing company owner wanting to grow your business, be sure to go to roofingsites.com and sign up for a roofing marketing strategy session with me. Okay. And we are back into our lightning round. Hey, Rob, this has been pure fire so far, but in our lightning round, we have one rule. Okay. You have 1 minute or less to answer each of these questions. You ready?
Okay. Got it.
Awesome. Okay. So, Rob, what is your favorite personal hack, book, or podcast?
Okay. Book Traction by Gino Wickman. How could I not say that?
Yeah.
So impactful in my life. Helped me gain control of my business. And the hack is prepare every night. Simply before your head hits the pillow every night, document the next day's plan.
Love that. Okay. So next question, what is your favorite personal hack? This could be a book, podcast, whatever. Anything goes.
My favorite personal book is Man's Search for Meaning. So this will help expand your mind beyond your business.
Okay.
And help you think about the world in an entirely different way. The book is by Viktor Frankl.
All right. Sorry, I'm writing that down. Okay. So what is the best advice that you've ever been given and how have you applied it?
It came from one of the very most important people in my life named Michelle McCall. And she said to me decades ago, Rob, let your light shine. Trust yourself. The answers are inside of you.
Love that. Love that. Let your light shine. All right. And that's, by the way, something that obviously we are told by in the Bible as well, so.
Got it.
All right. So Rob, how can the Roofer Growth Hacks family get in touch with you and how can we support you and encourage you moving forward?
Thank you for the opportunity. The10disciplines.com will give you everything that you need to know. You can download a free chapter from the book. You could take our true self-assessment. We have different tools on there. There's a great video that Gino Wickman has on there that you can watch, a talk that he gave, and you can look into the different programs that we have that will help you, build that foundation in your life. Everything that we've been talking about, Chris.
Love it. Love it. Well, Rob, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of these golden nuggets of knowledge here. I'm sure that we could go on for hours and hours over entrepreneurial stuff, but thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Chris. You're a wonderful host, and I appreciate your energy and your wonderful smile. Really amazing. And it's been an honor.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, how about that, roofers? Was that awesome or what? I know that I wrote down 2 full pages worth of notes here, trying to find out which one is my favorite takeaway. Well, I would have to say that the 10-year vision is probably one of my favorite ones. And not simply just having that 10-year vision, but it seems to be the foundational piece of absolutely everything that you do as a person and as an entrepreneur, right? So we get stuck in the day-to-day type things in our businesses. And I think that having this vision, not only written down, but actually looking at it on a daily or weekly basis and sharing it with the people that are most valuable to you, most important to you, is super key to building your business. And the other part that I took away was, taking the time off. It's so hard for us as entrepreneurs to unplug from our businesses, unplug from the day-to-day grind, unplug from all of the issues that our businesses have, and it's a very, very hard thing to do, but it is so key for us to be able to show up for not only our employees and our customers, but also our family, the ones that we are doing all of this for, right? So putting the 10-year vision in front and then taking that time off on a regular basis, is just so important. Obviously, all of the other 10 disciplines, are super, super important. Things like not doing $25 an hour work, all of these things just make sense to us as business owners. But I think really the key to the foundation is ensuring that you do have a 10-year vision, ensuring that you are working towards that 10-year vision and that you've shared that 10-year vision out. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Roofer Growth Hacks. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you can connect with Rob on anywhere that he is, we're going to share that right down here below. Please go to his website. Please go to Instagram and LinkedIn and anywhere that he is. And while you're out there, make sure that you connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram, or check out our website at roofingsites.com while you're there. And while you're there, you can listen to previous episodes. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, roofingsites.com. Since 2018, roofingsites.com has helped roofers double their sales by getting their marketing right by using the 4R roofing marketing system. If you're a roofing company owner wanting to grow your business, be sure to go to roofingsites.com and sign up for a roofing marketing strategy session with me. Also, this past year, I published my book, The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. If you're a roofing company owner and you don't have this book in your hands, I'll send it to you for free. Just go to go.roofingsites.com and I'll send you a free copy of my book. Well, roofers, join me next time when we connect with another great roofing entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter. Thanks and gig 'em.